MediaTek develops first chipset using TSMC's 2 nanometer technology expected in late 2026. MediaTek has become among the first companies to partner with the TSMC to successfully develop a chip featuring the enhanced N2P process. Latest MediaTek chipset uses the TSMC 2 nanometer technology. According to the MediaTek, it will be taping out of the new flagship SoC with a volume production expected late next year. MediaTek has not officially named the chip, but it's likely to be the next generation Dimensity 9 series, the Dimensity 9600. The announcement marks a significant new milestone in the strong partnership that exists between the MediaTek and TSMC, and which has yielded high-performance, power-efficient chipsets for customers across mobile, compute, automotive, and data center application, among others. TSMC's 2 nanometer technology is the first to adopt nanosheet transistor structure, and N2P represent the next evolution in 2 nanometer family, which is set to deliver improved performance and power efficiency. The first chipset utilizing the new TSMC N2P process is expected to be available in the late 2026. TSMC is actively expanding its production capacity, including 2 nanometer and WMCM wafer-level multi-chip module lines, and each being suggested in 2 nanometer output could reach 40,000 wafers per month by an year-end and near 100,000 wafers in 2026. Compared with the existing N3E process, N2P users will see as much as an 18% increase in performance at the same power, an approximately 36% power reduction at the same speed, and a 1.2 time increase in logic density. MediaTek innovation powered by TSMC's 2 nanometer technology underscores our continued push forward with the most advanced semiconductor process technologies available for a variety of the devices and applications. And Joe Chen, president of MediaTek, our close collaboration with the TSMC has led to incredible advancement in solutions for our global customers, offering the highest performance and power efficiency from the edge to the cloud, and represent a significant step forward in the nanosheet era for TSMC, demonstrating our relentless tuning and improving of our technologies to deliver efficient, energy efficient, and computing capability, added Dr. Kevin Chung, Senior Vice President of Business Development and Global Sales and Deputy co-COO of TSMC. Our ongoing collaboration with MediaTek focuses on the maximizing enhanced performance and power capabilities across a wide range of applications. AMD's upcoming Venice is expected to be the first HPC product to build on TSMC's 2 nanometer process, while NVIDIA is said to be planning to adopt a 16 chip in its next-gen Feynman architecture, making it one of the first 2 nanometer adapters as well. Next one is Intel NVIDIA packed fuses x86 and RTX, bolstering TAN's as turnaround strategy. Intel and NVIDIA have struck a landmark deal, with NVIDIA investing $5 million for about 4% of Intel. The two will co-develop SoCs integrating Intel's x86 CPUs and NVIDIA's RTX CPUs, linked through the NVLink. Analysts see the move as a pivotal boost for Intel CEO Lip-Bu Tan's turnaround plan and a possible reshaping of the global semiconductor landscape. Reuters and WCCF Tech noted the alliance reinforces Intel CPU leadership while paving the way for NVIDIA's AI PC ambitions. By combining strengths, the firms aim to meet soaring AI compute demand. Tan highlighted that Intel's x86 ecosystem, advanced process, packaging, and data center platforms complement NVIDIA's AI and accelerated computing edge, driving fresh innovation. Product synergies, process roadmaps, and financial backing. Though dominant in x86, Intel has faced rising competition from AMD and ARM designs. Analysts say the NVIDIA's tie-up reinvigorates Tan's three-pronged strategy. First, it broadened Intel portfolio by pairing its CPUs with NVIDIA's GPUs in high-performance SoCs, strengthening its PC and data center reach. Second, the pact could revive Intel's uncertain 14A process. While not formally a foundry deal, engineers from both sides will co-design, with Intel Foundry likely handling part of the manufacturing and capacity and packaging. Strong market uptake could validate 14A, boost its commercial viability, and strengthen Intel's manufacturing arm. Third, Intel secured vital funding, $8.9 billion from the Trump administration, $2 billion from the SoftBank, and now $5 billion from NVIDIA, about $16 billion in total. The infusion strengthens Intel's balance sheet and back product R&D, process development, and fab construction. From NVIDIA, the tie-up unlocks the vast x86 ecosystem, enterprise client and software infrastructure, while complementing its AI PC project with the ARM and NVIDIA tech. Shaking up the semiconductor market order, the alliance heightens pressures on rivals, with analysts warning AMD faces dual competition in CPUs and GPUs that could erode its market sharing and edge. The ARM's outlook is less certain, and as NVIDIA moves beyond the ARM-based AI CPUs to add x86, it's potentially fragmenting the market, and still, industry watchers expect NVIDIA to keep dual product lines and use NVLink to balance performance and compatibility, creating a win-win setup. NVIDIA is still reliant on TSMC, may shift some wafer orders to Intel to diversify supply risk, introducing the potential competition for TSMC. Washington is expected to back the alliance as it aligns with the U.S. onshoring goals. The Trump administration, the U.S. administration's $89 billion in Intel underscores the supply chain priority, though there's no sign of direct involvement in the NVIDIA-Intel deal. Overall, the deal is viewed as a strategic win for Intel, bolstering its AI and HPC ambitions and giving new life to its 14A roadmap. It also reshaped the global semiconductor order, setting up a major shift in the year ahead. The third same content. NVIDIA and Intel announced jointly developed Intel's x86 RTX SoCs for PCs with NVIDIA graphic, also custom NVIDIA data center x86 processors. NVIDIA buys $5 billion in Intel stock in seismic deal. Cats and dogs living together. In a surprise announcement that finds two long-time rivals working together, NVIDIA and Intel announced today that the companies will jointly develop multiple new generations of x86 products together. A seismic shift with a profound implication for the entire world of technology. Before the news broke, Tom's Hardware spoke with NVIDIA representatives to learn more details about the company plans. The product includes 86 x86 Intel CPUs tightly fused with NVIDIA RTX graphics chiplet for the consumer gaming PC market. Named Intel x86 RTX SoCs, NVIDIA will also have Intel build custom x86 data center CPUs for each AI product for hyperscale and enterprise customers. Additionally, NVIDIA will buy $5 billion in Intel custom stock at $23.28 per share, representing a roughly 5% ownership stake in Intel. Intel stock is now up 33% in pre-market trading. The partnership between the two companies is in a very early stage. NVIDIA told us so the timeline for product releases, along with any product specifications, will be disclosed at a later, unspecified date. Given the traditional long lead times for new processors, it is rational to expect these products will take at least a year, and likely longer, to come to market. NVIDIA emphasized that the companies are committed to multi-generation roadmaps for the co-developed product, which represents a strong investment in x86 ecosystem. But NVIDIA representatives tell us it also remains fully committed to other announced product roadmaps and architectures, including the company's ARM-based GB10 Grace Blackwell processor for workstation and NVIDIA Grace CPUs for data centers, as well as the next generation Vera CPUs. NVIDIA said it also remains committed to products on its internal roadmaps and that haven't been publicly disclosed yet, indicating that the new roadmap with Intel will merely be adaptive to existing initiatives. NVIDIA hasn't disclosed whether it will use Intel Foundry to produce any of these products yet. However, while Intel has used TSMC to manufacture some of its own recent products, its goal is to bring production of most high-performance products back into its own foundries. Some products never left. For instance, Intel's existing Granite Rapids data center processors use the Intel 3 node, and upcoming Clearwater Forest Xeons will use Intel's own 18A process node for compute. This suggests that at least some of NVIDIA custom x86 silicon, particularly for data center, could be fabbed on Intel nodes. Intel also uses TSMC to fabricate many of its client x86 processors. However, so we won't know for sure until official announcements are made, particularly for RTX GPU chiplet. In either case, NVIDIA has been involved using Intel Foundry since 2022, has a fab to test chips there, and participated in the U.S. Defense Department LAMP-C project with Intel. The DoD project involves NVIDIA's already making chips on Intel's 18A process node, so it wouldn't be a total surprise. While the two companies have engaged in heated competition in some market segments, Intel and NVIDIA had partnered for decades, ensuring interoperability between their hardware and software for products spanning both the client and data center markets. The PCIe interface has long been used to connect Intel CPUs and NVIDIA GPUs. The new partnership will find tighter integration using the NVLink interface for CPU to GPU communication, which affords up to 14 times more bandwidth along with a lower latency than PCIe, thus granting the new x86 product access to the highest performance possible when paired with the GPUs. That's a strategic advantage. Let's divide it into the detail we've learned so far. Intel x86 RTX SoCs for the PC gaming market. For the PC market, the Intel x86 RTX SoC chips will come with an x86 CPU chiplet tightly connected with NVIDIA's RTX GPU chiplet via the NVLink interface. This type of the process will have both CPU and GPU units merged into one compact chip package that externally looks much like a standard CPU, rivaling AMD's competing APU products. Intel new x86 RTX CPUs will compete directly with AMD's APUs. For AMD, the main means it faces intensifying the competition from a company with the leading market share its notebook CPUs. Intel ships 79% of the laptop chips worldwide. That's now armed with the GPU tech from NVIDIA, which ships 92% of the world gaming GPUs. This type of the tight integration packs all the gaming power browsers into one package without an external discrete GPU, providing power and footprint advantages. As such, we are told these chips will heavily focus on the thin and light gaming laptops and small form factor PCs, much like today's APUs from AMD. However, it's possible the new NVIDIA Intel chips could come into multiple flavors and permeated further into Intel stack over time. Intel has worked on a similar type of chip before with AMD. There is at least one significant technical difference between these initiatives. However, Intel launched its Kaby Lake G chip in 2017 with an Intel processor fused into the same package as an AMD Radeon GPU chiplet, much the same as the description of a new NVIDIA Intel chips. You can see an image of an Intel and AMD chip below. This SoC had a CPU at one end connected via PCIe connection to the separate AMD GPU chiplet, which is flanked by a small, dedicated memory package. This separate memory package was only usable by GPU. The NVIDIA and Intel product will have an RTX GPU chiplet connected to the CPU chiplet via the faster and more efficient NVLink interface. And we totally we have a uniform memory access UMA, meaning both CPU and GPU will be able to access the same pool of memory. Given the particulars of the NVIDIA's NVLink Fusion architecture, one can expect the chips to communicate via refined interface, but it is unlikely that it will leverage NVIDIA C2C chip-to-chip technology. An Intel chip interconnect that's based on an ARM protocol that aren't likely optimized for x86. Intel notoriously accessed the Kaby Lake, the G product, in 2019, and the existing system were left without a proper driver support for quite some time, in part because Intel was responsible for the validating the drivers and then the finger pointing ensued. We are told that both Intel and NVIDIA will be responsible for their respective drivers for the new models, with NVIDIA naturally providing its own GPU drivers. However, Intel will build and sell the consumer processors. We haven't spoken with Intel yet, But the limited scope of this project means that Intel proprietary Xe graphics architecture will most assuredly live as the primary integrating GPU, iGPU, for its mass market product. NVIDIA's first x86 data center CPUs. Intel will fabricate custom x86 data center CPU for NVIDIA, which NVIDIA will then sell as its own product to enterprise and data center customers. However, the entirety and extent of the modification are currently unknown. We know that NVIDIA will employ its NVLink interface, which suggests that the chips could leverage NVIDIA's NVLink fusion technology for custom CPUs and accelerators, enabling faster and more efficient communication with NVIDIA's GPUs than is possible with PCI interface. Intel has long offered custom Xeons to its customers, preliminary hyperscalers, often with relatively minor tweaks to clock rates, cache capacities, and other specifications. In fact, these mostly slightly modified custom Xeon models once comprised more than 50% of the Intel's Xeon shipment. Intel has endured several years of the marketing share erosion due to the AMD's advances, most acutely in the hyperscale market. Therefore, it's unclear if the 50% number will hold true, as hyperscalers were the primary customers for custom models. Intel has said it will be designing completely custom x86 chips for customers as part of its IDM 2.0 strategy. However, aside from the recent announcement of the custom AWS chip that sound like a slightly modified Xeons mentioned above, we haven't heard of any large-scale uptake for significantly modified custom x86 processors. Intel announced a new custom chip design unit just 2 weeks ago. It will be interesting to learn the extent of the customization for NVIDIA's x86 data center CPUs. NVIDIA already uses Intel's Xeons in several of its systems like the NVIDIA GDX B300. But these systems still use the PCI interface to communicate with the CPU. Intel's new collaboration with NVIDIA will obviously open up new opportunities, given the tighter integration with NVIDIA and all the advantages it brings with it. The likelihood that AMD stopping NVLink fusion is somewhere around zero. The company is heavily invested in its own Infinity Fabric, XGMI, and Ultra Accelerator Link UA Link initiatives, which aim to provide an open standard interconnect to rival NVLink and democratize rack-scale interconnective technologies. Intel is also a member of UA-Link, which uses AMD's Infinity Fabric protocol as the foundation. Dollar and cent the geopolitics. NVIDIA's $5 billion purchase of Intel common stock will come at $23.28 a share, roughly 6% below the current market value. But several aspects of this investment remain unclear. NVIDIA hasn't stated whether it will have a seat on the board, which is unlikely, or how it will vote on matters requiring shareholder approval. It is also unclear if Intel will issue new stock, primary issuance for NVIDIA purchase, as it did when the US government recently became an Intel shareholder. That is likely. Naturally, the investment is subject to approval from the regulators. NVIDIA buying comes on the heel of the US government buying $10 million of newly created Intel stock, granting the country a 9.9% ownership stake at a $20.47 per share. The U.S. government wanted to have a seat on the board and agreed to vote with Intel's board on matters requiring shareholder approval with limited exceptions. SoftBank has also recently purchased $2 billion worth of primary issuance of Intel stock at $23 per share. Purchase of the Intel stock. The government says it invested in Intel with the goal of bolstering U.S. technology, manufacturing and national security, and the investment from the private sector also help solidify the struggling Intel. Altogether, this investment represents a significant cash influx for Intel as it attempts to maintain the heavy CapEx investment required to compete with TSMC, all while struggling with a negative amount of free cash flow. AI is powering a new industrial revolution and reinventing every layer of the computing stack, from silicon to systems to software. At the heart of this reinvention is NVIDIA's CUDA architecture, said NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang. This historic collaboration tightly couples NVIDIA's AI and accelerated computing stack with Intel's CPUs and the vast x86 ecosystem, a fusion of two world-class platforms. Together, we will extend our ecosystem and lay the foundation for the next era of computing. Intel's x86 architecture has been foundationally to modern computing for decades, and we are innovating across our portfolio to enable the workload of the future, said the Intel CEO Lip-Bu Tan. Intel's leading data center and client computing platform, combining with our process technology, manufacturing, and advanced packaging capabilities, will complement NVIDIA's AI and accelerated computing leadership to enable new breakthroughs for the industry. We appreciate the confidence Jensen and the NVIDIA team has placed in us with their investment and look forward to the work ahead of we innovated for customers and grow our business. We'll learn more detail of the new partnership later today when NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang and Intel CEO Lip-Bu Tan hold a webcast press conference at 10 a.m. PT. And you can read our further coverage of the press event here. Okay, thank you for your time. See you next time.